Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is Dr. Yasmin Davidds, and welcome to Networking for Enhanced Collaboration. Can you hear me out there? If you could, anybody in the chat section, just type in, yes, I can hear you. Just want to make sure everyone can hear. Okay, thank you. I see all these, yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Well, welcome. Today we're going to discuss networking for enhanced collaboration, and we're going to do about 40 minutes worth of content. Then I'm going to open it up for questions. You can feel free and type your questions during the presentation, and once the Q&A comes about, then I'll read the questions from the chat session. So feel free to type your questions whenever you'd like. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what is networking? People want to know. There's many different aspects of networking. What I decided to do was take networking from a Harvard perspective and how they studied, Harvard studied leaders, how leaders network, the most effective and best practices for networking that leaders have done throughout the years. And I took the content from there, from my clients, from my practices, and created this presentation for you. So networking defined is creating a fabric of personal contacts who will provide support, feedback, insight, resources, and information. It is one of the most dreaded developmental challenges that leaders must address. So I consider all of you on this session, on this webinar, leaders, because whether you are a leader at work, if you're not at this time, you will be. If everybody can just press mute on your phones, that'd be great, and that way we can make sure that that everybody can hear. If you can just press mute on your phone. So I consider all of you leaders, and therefore it is a critical skill that you need to excel in today's workforce. There's somebody who hasn't muted. We can hear the background. Can you please mute? There's somebody who I can hear a TV in the background, or some people talking. Can everybody make sure, just look at your phone to make sure it's muted? Okay, I still hear the background noise. If you can just, everybody just look at your phone, and if you can see if you have the mute on it. Okay, it looks like it's coming from a phone caller. Yes. Oh, thank you. Okay, it looks like it's done. Okay, so for leaders, like I said, I consider all of you leaders. Therefore, these apply to you specifically more than anything because nowadays you really have to be strategic about how you network. So let's look at building relationships. Let's look at networking. Building relationships is one of the strongest skill sets related to leadership effectiveness. Leaders with experience building relationships are seen as more effective. Research shows that 75% of these leaders respondents said that building and maintaining relationships is a critical leadership competency. The higher you move up in your organization, the less it's about your talent and your skill, and the more it's about your networking ability, maintaining relationships, how you navigate them, and how you manage yourself within relationships. Okay, so networking leads to collaboration. Collaboration is the future, especially because of the virtual global world that we are in now. Collaboration, you have to collaborate with people you don't know across the globe. It enables innovation, which plays a key role in a company's ability to stay competitive. Out of the leaders that were surveyed at Harvard, 100% of 250 executive surveys said that collaboration is critical to success. So being able to collaborate with individuals means you have to already have the networking ability. Networking comes first, collaboration comes second. So let's talk a little bit about how you build your networks. Yes, a copy of the recording will be shared with everybody, with the attendings. I will send it to your alumni director, Leticia, and she will send it out to everybody to make sure you all get it. So no worries about taking all the notes. This recording will be sent to you. So what I chose not to do is get into your typical, um, you know, kind of 5 steps to networking, and that is, make sure you have your elevator pitch, the generic kind of PowerPoint or presentation. I went beyond that to make sure that I gave you strategies for building your networks. Okay, so there are 3 forms of networking, the model that I use: operational networking, personal networking, and strategic networking. These are all distinct and they're interdependent. So I'm going to get into each one so that you understand what they mean. Now, operational network, the purpose of it is for getting your work done efficiently, maintaining the capacities and functions required of the group. Therefore, anybody that you depend on to get your job done, whether it's a colleague, a direct report, or anybody, a colleague, a client, or anybody else, they are part of your network, but they are part of your operational network, which means your interaction with them is different than the other 2 networks, which we're going to describe. So these contacts are mostly internal and they're directed towards current demands. You have more of a working relationship with them. The key contacts are relatively non-discretionary. They are mostly prescribed. You don't get to choose them, but you do need to know how to collaborate with them. So it is very clear who is relevant and who is not relevant within these operational networks. Now, what you need to focus on and key behaviors for this is to build strong working relationships with them, because you're going to need favors from them. They're going to need favors from you, and you need to be able to depend on them. So things that you can do to enhance that type of network is any chance you have to add value to their career, to their lives, to their professional endeavors, do it. For example, let's just say you come across an article that you think relates to one of your operational network contacts. Email it to them. Just say, thinking of you when I saw this article, email it to them. That will, what you're doing is you're making deposits into your operational network bank account. Okay, you want to make as many deposits as you can into these accounts. Therefore, you will need to make withdrawals in the future when you ask for favors. You don't want to make withdrawals when you don't have any credit, any deposits in there, because you don't want to go to someone when you need them. You want to be able to withdraw from credits that you have, deposits you have made. Now, the personal type of network, the purpose for that is more to enhance your personal and professional development. And these people are inside and outside your organization that you work for. They're for providing referrals to useful information and contacts. This is what I call your personal board of directors. These are the people that you hand select, that you want. Some can be mentors, some can be people that you look up to, like role models, but they are more personal. They don't necessarily have to relate to your job or to even your industry, um, but they are relative to your own professional development. So it's important that you keep them close and that you always keep touch with them, that you always reach out to them. Once again, any value you can bring to them, bring that value, a connection, it's something that will educate them, an invitation to an event that you have. Invite them, bring them along, let them see your world, let them get to know your world. The more they know about your world, the more they're going to be able to help you on a personal level as a network. The breadth of this is the key behavior is reaching out to contacts who can make referrals. These are the people you want to go to for, um, what do you call it? For, you want them to be able to present you to other people. You want them to do, will you do an invitation? Will you introduce me? These are the people that you say, do you know this person? Can you introduce me to them? Getting introduced to someone is much more powerful than you going up to someone and just introducing yourself. So if there's somebody you want to meet, always try to find somebody you may know that knows them and do an introduction through this person, because it makes it more personal and personal invitations, personal introductions are key. Okay, now strategic networking, strategic relationships are things, type of relationships many people tend to struggle with a little because they don't know exactly how to use them. But what you need to do, these are very important, and this is the network that will make you succeed. This is the network that will get you to the next level. So the purpose of this strategic network is to figure out future priorities and challenges and getting stakeholders to support for them. For example, if you know there's a job that you want to apply to at a company, figure out who you know that may know somebody that has some power in that organization. Then talk to your person that you know. Let them know that you're applying for a job. Let them know that their contact works there, and if they're willing to make that call for you or an introduction. Um, Become relevant to people that can strategically help you. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. These contacts are internal or external and are oriented towards the future. You may meet people and you think there's really nothing they can do for me now. You should never be planning for now. You need to be planning for your future. Can they be relevant 5 years from now? Let me start building that relationship now, because 5 years from now, they can be relevant to where I want to go. Now, this is not about using people. This is not about manipulating people at all. It's really about being authentic and being transparent and just being honest, and but building a relationship with them. Now if you don't like the people, then don't build a relationship with them. I'm assuming that you like these people that you're reaching out to, because people always know when something's authentic or not. Now, the key contacts follow from the strategic context and the organizational environment. But specific membership is discretionary. It is not always clear who is relevant. Okay, so for example, I am looking to be on a corporate board. Therefore, I just became a member of the National Association of Corporate Directors. And I went in there, I went to a meeting. I'm now having lunch with some of the leadership team members there. By becoming a member, I had access to them. Now I'm finding out that they know some of the people I know. So I'm calling the people I know and saying, hey, put in good words for me to this person, when you talk to them. So now they're making calls. So this is what you call you leveraging your strategic network, is finding out how are the people that I know connected to the people I want to know, or to the people that are in positions that can help me. And now this is assuming that you have a very powerful, credible brand, which I'm sure you all do. And therefore, the people, your network, personal network, is going to want to help you with this strategic network and these individuals. Um, this is where you leverage your network. You're creating inside and outside links between the people you work with inside your company, other people at other organizations, so forth and so on. Okay, so 3 rules to memorable networking. I was thinking, what are the 3 things that are the most important elements that you need to remember? Number 1, relevance. People will not remember you unless you are relevant. And what I mean by relevant is, why should they remember you? If someone meets 100 people in one day, what's going to make you stand out from the rest? You have to make sure that you are relevant, which means find something you have in common with them. Um, make a connection somehow. Maybe their kid and your kid went to go to the same school. Maybe they golf or you golf. Anything, just you need to make a connection with them so that they remember you. So you need to have relevance to them. You might have an expertise that might be relevant. For example, myself, this whole, tapping into the Hispanic market is such a hot topic no matter where you go. That's one of my expertise. So I almost automatically become relevant to a lot of people I meet because I'll start, talking about accessing the Hispanic market. And anybody who's in business wants to understand that market. So I know that that's a point of relevancy for many people. So it's not because I love to talk about it so much. I just know that it's a relevant issue to many of the top level executives at this point in the market. So that's something that how I become relevant to a lot of people that I don't know that I meet. Um, bring some value to the table. The question is, why should they even talk to you? Right? Why should they talk to you? Yes, they can talk to you to be nice, but what kind of value are you bringing to the table that they're going to want to invest time with you? Um, and in the now or in the future. So, and that value can be something as simple as a certain perspective that you may have. For example, I just got a call today from someone from an organization who's looking to recruit Hispanic agents for a certain element, and they wanted to get my expertise in that area. That's the value that I bring to that relationship. So find out what your expertise is. You can leverage that and bring value to individuals. Um, connection. Make sure you make a connection. It's key, whether it's direct by becoming relevant and bringing value, um, or through a presentation. I mean, through an introduction by someone. That's key. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about each network and what it means and how you can leverage it. Your operational networks are your networks from work. You need to increase here where you increase your airtime, which means you need to increase your face-to-face time with your operational network. You need to make sure that they see you often if they can. They're primarily internal and determined by routine and short-term goals, but you want to be able to depend on them. You want to have the ability to influence without authority. You want them to want to help you. And the way you do that is by helping them first. Okay, people reciprocate. There's a power of reciprocity. You help others, they're going to want to reciprocate. At least 90% of human beings reciprocate. And it's fueled by rapport and trust. But once again, don't wait until you need somebody to do something for them. Do something for them tomorrow if you can. And when you need something, it'll be much easier for you to get what you need from them. Okay, the next network here is the personal networks. You need to increase your visibility, increase your time with them. Personal networks and initiate feedback. The power under personal networks is what is called consultative network. And what that means is go to them and ask them to consult you, ask them to help you, ask them for feedback. People love to be approached for their expertise. They feel important. Make sure it's authentic, but people love when you ask for their opinion or perspective on something because it makes them feel that that's their value, makes them feel valuable. Um, and then ask them. The power is asking them about the future. Is it possible for me to approach you sometime in the future if I need feedback on a project? I encourage my students from my leadership program to do this quite often. And now when they interview for new jobs, and like the C-level executives will interview them, like at that final interview, they will ask the CEO or COO, whoever interviews them, do you mind if while I'm getting used to the organization, if there's any questions I may have or any ideas I may want to share, that I contact you? Never have they said no. They have always said yes. They said absolutely. So that leaves an open door for them to contact directly the CEO or COO in the future. And then they become part of their network. So ask if you don't have anything to ask of help that you need help of now, Position yourself so you may ask in the future by asking them, may I contact you in the future if I have any ideas or questions? And the strategic networks, which we talked about already a little bit. Um, they become a lifeline for revealing how a leader's contributions fit into the big picture. They're the ones that will carry you to the next level. They're the ones that will make the phone calls and make sure that you are taken care of with the resources you need at your next position. These are people usually more powerful than you. These are people that want to take you under their wing. And usually you can meet these people through your company or just going out there and networking, and once again being strategic. And you can actually select 5 people you want to meet and create a plan about how you want to go about meeting them. Where do they go? Where do they hang out? And I'm not saying you stalk them or anything like that, but you do want to find out what's important to them so that you can align what you have to offer that may be relevant to them, so you directly become relevant to them. Okay, so networking here, this is the plan about how to go about your next networking opportunity. You reach out to establish a network contact, and you can reach out once again. If you can have an introduction, that'd be great, but you want to reach out for a purpose. You do not want to reach out to ask for something. The only thing you can ask for, if you want to ask for something, ask for help in a perspective, or you want to pick their brain, or you want to learn from them, or something like that. That's more of a compliment. You don't want to reach out to someone to ask them to do something for you when they don't even know you, right? That's kind of, I know for me it's a nuisance when someone does that. It's like, get to know me first, and you already want something from me. um, but asking for help, I mean, the worst thing they can say is no and or not respond. But at least, believe me, people don't judge you if you want help by like consultation. They will judge you if you want help, like, hey, help me get a job, and you don't even know them. They will not like that approach. Um, and then after that, maintain the relationship. What does that mean? It means anything you want it to mean. It could mean, for example, I have people that will send me articles of every 3 months just to say, thinking about you when I read this, or they'll send me a handwritten card every 6 months. Hope you're doing well and your family, thinking about you. So 2 years from now, when they reach out to me to want something, they're top of mind. They're still fresh in my mind because I just got a card from them 6 months ago. If they hadn't reached out to me in 3 years, it would be kind of weird when they reach out to me out of nowhere. So stay relevant by maintaining the relationship. It doesn't mean you have to see them if you don't have time. It means that you just have to make sure and keep contact with them. Send them a card, a letter, an e-card, leave them a voicemail. Just wanted to say hello, reach out to them. Identify where it says here reciprocal. Um, Try to see if you can bring value to them somehow. Ask them, is there anything I can do to help? Is there anything I can do that can bring value to you? Even if they say no, just the fact that you asked is very important because it shows that you're not a taker, that you're also a giver. People do not like takers. Takers get on everybody's nerves because they're just there to take and they don't give. Don't let them think you're a taker. you know, um, I know when I give to people and they say, is there anything I can do for you? I always say, not right now, but one day there may be, and I will call you. So it leaves it open. Now, identify needed information and expertise and who can provide it. And once again, reach out to them, or reach out to them and say, I'm looking to speak to someone with this kind of expertise. Is there anybody you can refer me to? And usually they can do an email introduction for you. Okay. So when reaching out to establish a network, you'll have 2 types of conversations: asking for help for an immediate need or asking for help in the future. So people say, how do I make that connection? What if I don't need anything? I just want to get to know them. Well, find something you may need help in, or make something up, or create a need. I know for me, when people say, let's just meet to chat, it's like, uh, okay, unless it's somebody that I think can bring a lot of value in the future, honestly, I don't have time to just meet for chat. Now, if they want my help with something, and if I could help them, yeah, I'll definitely meet with them. So if you don't have a need and you want to meet with someone, create a need that they can help you in. Just meeting to chat, unless they really want to, it's not a motivating factor for people to meet. Now, what you could do is ask them, is there any way that I can reach out to you in the future, and if there's any questions I may have, and that way you keep them relevant and you keep them close. Okay, leveraging your networks. Networking takes work to lessen the pain and increase the gain. Accept that networking is one of the most important requirements of a leadership role. I know we don't like it, but if you're truly authentic about it, and it becomes part of your strategy, your development plan. To overcome any qualms about it, identify a person you respect who networks effectively and ethically, and observe how he or she uses networks to accomplish goals. I would go as far as to ask them, can I shadow you for the day? Can I shadow you to see how you work your networks? I really admire you. I look up to you, and I would love to learn from you. And I would love to watch you be able, do this. And for the most part, most people will say yes. They'll let you shadow them. Okay. The next one is, in other words, the first one is mind your mindset. Make sure that your mindset is set for success when networking, and you are not your greatest barrier, because sometimes we are our greatest barrier when we're like, oh, I don't want to network. It's so inauthentic. Reallocate your time. Many of us will say we have too much to do and we don't have time to network. You have to learn how to delegate, because learning how to network and networking is much more important than any other task you may be doing for the long run, meaning that you have to get comfortable with it, because you are as relevant in the workforce as your network. In other words, if you have a solid, powerful network, you are more relevant and more valuable to people. And this is just the real deal, than if you do not have a network. Then you're limited on the value you bring to the table for other people. Um, create reasons for establish connections, create reasons for interacting with people outside your function or organization. Host happy hours. I mean, not host like you pay for them, but say, hey, everybody, we're getting together on this day at this time at this place. You don't have to wait to be invited anywhere. You can create it. I have focus groups and wine. Let's come together for a focus group and we'll have some wine at the same time. um, and give and take continually. Like I said, you don't want to be known as a taker only. You want to give and you want to take. Give if you can first, so that you will, when you take, um, if people don't know whether you're a giver or a taker, they won't have to assume since you've already given. Okay, let's see what time. Okay, good. Now, things to consider. Trust. Trust is the new workplace currency. If people don't trust you, they're not going to want to get to know you. People will ask about you, and people they'll I ask about people before I meet with them. I Google everybody who calls me and leaves a voicemail. If I don't know who they are, I will Google them, and then I will determine whether or not I will call them back. I'm being honest. I mean, that's, or I'll call somebody, do you know this person? Because time is valuable. And if it's somebody who has a reputation that they're not trustworthy, I'm not going to call them back. What for? It's not worth my time. Yet, if they have a good reputation, then yes, because I like trustworthy people in my life. Now, the first job of any leader is to inspire trust. Trust is born of two dimensions: by your character, your integrity, motive, and intent with people, and your competence, your capabilities, skills, results, and track record. This is key. These two, character and competence, are key. Now, the way to influence and lead is to begin with warmth. Warmth is a conduit of influence. It facilitates trust and the communication and absorption of ideas. Even a few small nonverbal signals can show people that you're pleased to be in their company and attentive to their concerns. Prioritizing warm helps you connect immediately with those around you, demonstrating that you can hear them, understand them, and can be trusted by them. The number one trait for influence is empathy. Okay. If you want to influence someone, they have to feel you empathize with them for you to be able to influence them. And it all comes from trust and warmth. These are all elements of knowing how to strategically network. I know I respond much better to people who are warm than people who are just kind of cold. It's just human nature. Okay, so executive presence. When I show our power alongside our humanity, when we show our power alongside our humanity, others connect to us. It's the combination that creates great presence. So you need to have strong presence for people to want to network with you. If you don't have strong presence, then there won't be much of a reason for them to want to connect with you. They need to feel, once again, that there is value in it for them, the connection. And we're just, being straight up as far as being honest. Okay, so this is very important, the trust equation. So this is how trust kind of maps out. It's mapped out. First, it's your credibility. This is how you gain trust. Your credibility, which are your words that you say, your content expertise and presentation of your knowledge. It includes academic degrees and relevant experience. The second trust equation variable is reliability, your actions. Your ability to deliver the same way and at the same level over time. It is enhanced by increased positive interaction. That means consistency over time, sustainability. If people know they can always count on you and that you're reliable, then you build trust. If you flake out all the time, you don't show up late, people are not going to trust you. And that's part of building a strong network, is having that trust, reliability. The next one is intimacy, emotions, your ability to open up and encourage others to be open as well. It really drives that connection to ensure that the real issues are always dealt with. People want to know you're real. They want to know you're authentic. They don't want to deal with, someone who's not real. And the very last, but very important, your motives, self-orientation. People will not trust you if they don't feel your motives are pure. The extent to which you are fixated on yourself in every situation, needing to look intelligent, having the right answer, push your agenda, or win at any cost. People say you need to be assertive and persuasive and all that. There needs to be a balance. When you make it all about yourself, you come off as self-interested, too self-interested. And we all know how much that is of a turnoff. And people can't feel they can trust you if you're always just looking out for yourself. So my question to you is, do you follow the trust equation? If you were to add your credibility, your reliability, and your level of being able to be intimate with others on a level of connection, and you divide it over what are your motives, what would it say about you? Would you say that you would have a high score of being able to be trusted? Or is your credibility maybe not too strong? Maybe you're not as reliable as you want to be. Maybe you have difficulty connecting with people. And maybe your motives are pretty selfish. Well, if that's the truth, then there's nothing any webinar can do for you because that's just kind of, people are not going to be able to trust you. Therefore, your networking abilities are going to be very superficial, and you're not going to be able to build those strong relationships that will help elevate you. Establishing trust allows you to develop high quality connections. So the rules are changing now, ladies and gentlemen. The rules for work are changing. It's supposed to be you are being judged by a new yardstick, not just by how smart you are or I am, but how you handle yourselves and each other. So it's key that you handle yourself and manage your relationships with emotional intelligence. So I don't know why it said we are now being judged by a new yardstick named emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is the ability. Actually, I just taught an emotional intelligence course for USC at the School of Public Policy for their Masters of Executive Leadership program. I taught emotional intelligence course this past Sunday all day, and they couldn't get enough of it because it is the future of being able to not only be aware of other people's emotions, but their facial expressions, understanding them, not taking things personal, and really knowing that there's different ways to connect with different types of people. You need to be able to see their response. If you make a comment and someone responds with the look on their face, and you see that it's a look of suspicion, then you have to know how to flex and strategically say something else that will bring them back to you because you just lost them with something you said. You have to be able to identify that just by the way they look at you. So it's just being very conscientious of people's emotions, and it has nothing to do with you. You might just remind them of someone they couldn't stand when they were in high school, and something you said triggered that, and now they're not trusting you. Well, you have to be able to identify that and bring them back to you by, changing the conversation. But unless you know how you affected them, they're not going to respond in any. I mean, you're not going to know, and you might leave thinking, "Oh, it was great," and they might leave thinking, "I can't stand her." And you would never know because you weren't reading their body language and you weren't reading their facial expressions. So my recommendation to you is when Leticia, your alumni director, asks what other courses, webinars you would like to have, I recommend that you tell her emotional intelligence, because that's something that I can give a webinar on, and I think it's key to you learning. It's part of the networking aspect, because in order to be effective with your networking and with human beings, you have to be able to identify their emotions and respond to them appropriately, strategically, and in real time, not later, but at that moment. And to give you a quick example before we wrap up here, because this is the last slide and then we can go to questions, is I was recently introduced to one of the vice presidents from UPS. And I have a nonprofit organization, and we apply for grant funding for this nonprofit. And this gentleman from UPS was a vice president for corporate social responsibility. So they overlooked the grant funding. So I was on my A game. So I thought, right, that I wanted to impress him because we were going to apply for a grant. Here I am talking to him, and I don't know what got into me or why I said this, but I said, "Oh, FedEx is really kicking your guys' butts, aren't they?" And his face just froze like, "How dare you?" And I caught it. I caught his facial expression, and I quickly said, "But I know how committed you are to the community, and I'm sure you are married, right? I'm sure your wife is so proud of you, and your children, they must look at you as like you are Superman." And I had to clean it up really fast. And because I knew that his facial expression told me I just insulted him without realizing it. I was just kind of kidding, and it did not go well with him on that. When I started giving him the compliments, because he is a lot in the community, he just gave me a big smile. He said, "Yes." I said, "Your children must be so proud." He goes, "They are. I take them with me all the time to do community service." Then he started telling me all these stories about how great he is and all the great things he's done for the community. And I was just listening, listening, listening. By the end of the deal, he said, "Make sure you address your grant application to my name." And I said, "Okay." And we applied and we were granted grant funds, thank God. But I could have, if I didn't know how to read that message, his face, we would have lost out on $25,000 from that grant, because he would have just marked me as someone he did not want to associate with. But because I was able to identify his facial expression, I was able to change it around and make him feel special. And therefore, he was able to support us, the nonprofit, for the grant. So that's how important that is. So what I would like to do now, it is let me see, it's 5:40. So I am going to, let's see, chat here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, do we have any? You can unmute yourself. Let me see. Will they copy the recording? Yes. Okay. Whoever's calling 01 or You are not muted. Okay, somebody. Um, Anybody have any questions? You can actually unmute yourself, and anybody has any question, they can go ahead and just ask it on the phone right now or on the computer, or you can chat it to me, whichever one you want. Any questions? Let's see here. Anybody have any questions they want to ask? Oh, Lizzie Fenton says, this has been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Lizzie, for coming on and listening and watching and being here. You're very welcome. Let's see. Anybody else? Anybody has a question that they can never ask, but we won't be able to see you, so you can just send it in the chat box. And I promise I won't say your name. You can
This is
send it to here.
actually Lizzie. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you, Lizzie.
Okay, perfect. So when I first started at the company I'm with, I was encouraged by my boss, obviously, to get LinkedIn, and now I have LinkedIn, and obviously that's a good networking tool. But a couple years ago, like when I did get LinkedIn, I was encouraged to just start adding people, and so I have a lot of people in my network that they're connected with other people that I know, so I never made that formal introduction. And again, they've been on in my network for a couple of years now. And um, so, do you think I should remove them from my network and like reintroduce myself, or leave it as is?
Do you have interest in any of these people in your network that you want to meet?
Yes, there are a few, there are definitely a few, but others were just I was just encouraged by my boss at the time to start adding people within our industry.
Okay, well, I think that you should definitely be very intentional on who it is that you want to reach out to. And let's just say you have a handful of 5 LinkedIn contacts that are part of your network that you haven't met yet. I would send each of them a separate email, introduce yourself, and say, you've been part of my network for some time. I've never had I never, I haven't had the chance to reach out to you as I am doing now. Would love, to, I'm trying to, would love to connect, or it depends. What is your end goal? Are you looking for them for like sales leads?
No, just having, I'm in the email marketing industry, and so having connections within the industry to know about new technology, best practices, things like that. And I've never reached out to some of these people before.
Okay. So I think that what you can do is reach out to them and say, I would love to share some of my maybe information, or if you have best practices or whatever you think might be relevant to them, you might look through their LinkedIn and see what's important to them, what they value, what their interests are, and see maybe something of value that you can offer them that you may have. Or you might approach them and, I would love to learn from you. That really works for a lot of people. A lot of people they feel that they're bringing value. So you say, I'd love to learn from you about your best practices, and I'd be happy to share my best practices within my organization or my industry. And just be very sincere and authentic in your way, and that, that should definitely work.
Great, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Very welcome. Let me see. I have a few questions here. So it says here we go. Okay. It says, when meeting people, this is from Helen. When meeting people who can make referrals for you, should you ask them to make a referral or wait and see if they offer? Um, I would well, first I would wait and see if they offer. And if they don't offer, definitely ask them. If you feel they're going to offer, then let them offer, but don't let them leave without you saying, by the way, is there any way that you can, send a referral my way? Because I know that sometimes I don't think about a referral for someone, but once they ask me, I'm like, of course, I would love, to, it just doesn't come to me. So I may not offer it. So I definitely think that you should ask them after, when you feel that, okay, I don't want to leave this appointment or this meeting without asking them. So it wouldn't be the first thing I do, but it definitely would be something I do before I walk away, whether it's a call or if it's a meeting or something. Okay, the next question is,
Um,
oh,
so can I build off that?
sure, of course.
Hello?
Yes.
So I found myself in this situation where I feel kind of uncomfortable asking because I almost feel as though then they'll think that I just wanted to meet with them to get a referral.
Are these people that you don't know very well?
Yes.
Okay, well, I think that,
Yes.
and when you have conversations with them, is it of substance or where do you guys kind of, you guys talk
Yeah,
about?
definitely.
Okay, then I think that you should say, I mean, I think that you should be honest with them and say something like, if there's any referrals, don't forget, like make it kind of like, instead of saying, don't make it such a question where it's, hey, can you give me a referral, where it makes them feel on the spot. You want to make it every time you see them, make, hey, don't forget, if you have a referral, do you have a specific referral you want them to send you, or is it just a referral?
Yeah, not necessarily. I don't wouldn't have necessarily have a specific referral in mind.
Okay, so I think that you should make it part of your practice when you meet with these people,
Hmm.
kind of towards the end or kind of a conversation, kind of bring it up and say, hey, by the way, before I forget, if you ever have any referrals, I would love for you to send them to me. And then continue with your conversation. In other words, don't make it the most important topic, but make it kind of like a by the way.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Okay, cool.
yeah, it kind of makes it natural because people do that with me all the time. And when they do that, I'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I just thought of someone. And very natural, but they never make it the reason why we meet. And I never feel like it's the reason we meet
Hmm. I see, I see.
because they make it
Okay,
out.
cool. I'll have to, yeah.
Yeah, because you should. I mean, the thing is, this is your business. You have every right to, there's nothing wrong with you looking for referrals as long as that's not the reason you're meeting with them, right?
Hmm.
So I think that,
Well, I mean, it's always like, isn't that always one of the reasons, you know?
well, yes and no. It's one of the reasons, but it should. It's one of the reasons, but it shouldn't be the only reason. In other words, if there is no substance or value in anything else, and for the meeting, then the meeting should not happen. And at least for the other person, that's how I would feel.
Hmm.
If we didn't have anything of value
Hmm.
or substance to talk about, then and we sat there and we talked and there was nothing really of substance, and then you asked me for a referral, I kind of would feel a little awkward
Hmm. Hmm.
because then I'd be
I
like,
see, I
you
see.
should have just
Okay,
asked me.
cool.
You know what I mean? You should have just asked me instead of like coming here and talking and we really have no substance. Like, kind of, I don't know, maybe build a connection with them where we really are interested about what's going on with their lives or their work or their business or something where they feel it's, kind of authentic. There's nothing wrong with have, like connecting with them, learning about their life and their business, and then asking for a referral. You can do both. They can coexist.
Hmm. Hmm. I see. All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Let me see. I often help connect people that I meet, and I have noticed that they sometimes find it strange that I am helping them without asking for anything in return. I was asked once what my motivation was. And I'm not going to say the name because I know this person wants to stay private. So I'm really happy you asked this question because there are some people, um, I'm the same way, we're just givers, sometimes too much for our own good, but people become suspicious of our motivation because they think like, why are you giving so much, not asking for anything? Um, Usually people that do that are people that are takers. They're not used to that. People will judge based on who they are most of the time. So you just kind of have to say, well, this is who I am. Ask anybody that knows me and they'll know and you can hear it. So encourage them. If they have any questions, ask around, ask people about me, that you will consistently hear this is who I am. So just continue doing what you're doing, and anybody questions your motives, just be honest and say, I love to give. It's who I am. I love to help if I could. If I need something in return, I will ask. I don't always have to, I don't just help when I need something. That's not who I am. And that's it. Keep, and leave it there. Okay. How would you adapt your networking process to someone who's not currently employed but looking for a job? How would you adapt your networking process to someone who's not currently employed but looking for a job? Okay. I would say that you would go with your network, the people that you met when you were in your job. You would do the same thing. You would let them know that you're looking for a job, but not from a place of, um, oh, I don't know what that noise is, but it's really loud. Somebody, if you if you guys can mute your phone, it's really loud. Uh, it's a really loud background noise. If everybody can mute their phones, and then as the questions, if you guys want to ask, thank you. Okay. I would still use, I would not change anything. You just wouldn't use your operational network because internally you don't have that right now. But your personal and strategic network, you can still use the same as I explained it. You would only say, I'm looking for a new opportunity. I'm looking for a new job. And you would address it in that way. Instead of saying, I want to move up, or I want to, you would just not use operational network. Everything else applies. But then does it come off as you wanted to meet with them just to get a oh, I already talked about that. Okay. Let's see, here's another one. If I want to reconnect with my previous clients whom I had served for 10 years but haven't been in touch with for 5 years because my former employer purposely didn't want me to connect with them, how can I rekindle the relationship? My main goal is to ask them for a testimonial and let them know about my new role. Please advise. Oh, I think it's a wonderful, all you can do is reach out to them and say things like, hope, you remember me, or just very friendly, kind of like when you're calling an old friend, you haven't talked to them. Obviously you left in a good way. So you should be excited about calling them, be authentic and be honest. Just say, I'm sorry that I haven't been in touch. Don't give them a reason. Just say, I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, but I have a new role now. And I know, and that, and actually, if you wouldn't mind, I would really appreciate a testimonial. I mean, it looks like you have you had a very good relationship with them, so they'd be happy to give you one. And if you left in good terms, there's no reason why they shouldn't be happy to hear from you again. And I don't think you have to give them an explanation of why you hadn't been in contact. Now, if you want to, you can tell them the truth. If they ask, you can tell them the truth, or you can just say, I just became so busy with work. Whatever you choose to say, there is no wrong way here. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. On that same note, I am not employed and moved out of state. Besides joining organizations like Toastmaster, any tips for networking? Yes, I would definitely join any organizations that I would join all organizations that had to do with your industry of choice. In other words, if you wanted to work in a certain industry, like let's just say engineering, you would join every engineering organization that you can possibly find. I think somebody put us on mute and there's music playing. Okay. Boy, if I guess we can't tell them to mute because they're not on. This sounds like hold music. Okay, let's see here. Well, actually, okay. It says here, that was the last question. Besides joining just join every organization you can, as much as you can. Get to know people, get out there as much as you can, and you can apply that same network. Toastmasters is great for personal development and speaking, but it doesn't really help with a network in a certain industry. So I wouldn't join it to network as much as I would join it to develop my speaking skills, public speaking skills. That would be my purpose for that. Okay, let's see. Do we have any other questions? Here's it says, hey, Yasmin, how do we improve emotional intelligence? You improve emotional intelligence by really the only way is you have to understand what it is before you can actually apply it. In other words, you don't know when you're practicing emotional intelligence unless you're able to put a name to your action and behavior. So, take a class, take a webinar, read a book. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman is a great book. It's called Working with Emotional Intelligence, the second book, because what it does, it gives language to behavior. And it says when people respond this way, that means because they're feeling like this. So it's really something you learn because you already see it, but you don't know what it really means until you actually learn it, and then you're able to understand. For example, like I said about that one guy from UPS, I was able to tell by his facial expressions. You'll learn through emotional intelligence what to look for, what to look out for. If their eyes go this way and their nose goes this way, then that's certain, and then after a while, it just becomes natural for you to identify. You'll start feeling the energy of people. You'll start, if they're fidgeting, then they're not comfortable, and then it's your job to help them relax by making comments like, do you want to take a seat somewhere, or something, because you're very aware of their fidgeting behavior, which is a sign to you that they have some anxiety going on, and you want to make them feel more comfortable. So I would say definitely book, or make a recommendation to Leticia, your alumni director there, and I can definitely teach that. I'm going to teach 4 of these webinars, I think 3 or 4 throughout. I think 1 a quarter for the next year. Whatever you guys decide, I will teach. So I think that definitely you should recommend that be one of them. I think we're still on hold here. Okay. Oh, one
Hello,
question.
Yasmin. This is Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Can I'd like to piggyback on the young lady talking about joining, where you explained about joining industry-related networks.
Yes.
I've done a little bit of studying on that, and I just wanted to elaborate that the reason you want to join networks like whatever American or whatever management type networks or engineering type networks is because studies have shown actually that you want to meet people outside your closed network. Studies have showed that it's the people that you don't know, your weak ties they're called, that will help you get the job. And also piggybacking on top of that, there are people, and I had to learn this in my own career, there are people, managers, executives, that are more willing to help other, human beings.
Yes.
For them to succeed.
Absolutely.
So
there's definitely people out there, and there's some people that won't do anything for you too, right? So you just kind of have to
correct.
keep trying, and if you hear about people that like to help, like some people will say, reach out to this person, they really like to help. Definitely reach out to them.
And if you stay within your own group, you're like say you're only networking among the people that you know, like you kind of brought up. You're only going to get information that they know. So you got to do both. You got to network beyond your own people network to people that you don't even, the outside networks.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I really appreciate. Absolutely, you got to network. You have to be strategic. I would say, 30% focus on industry related, 30% focus on if you want to understand a certain culture. It might be culturally based groups. If you want to, it depends what your interests are. Then that are diverse. You can focus on those areas and find organizations that will help you. So thank you so much for that. But it is 6 o'clock now, so I do have to let you go now. You will get this presentation. Thank you so much, everybody. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.